Welcome back. Hey, our next guest is an associate professor of Sociomedical Sciences at Columbia University, Mailmen School of Public Health. She's also the founder and principal investigator for the Energy Equity, Housing, and Health Program. And she's here with us today to highlight the lack of energy equality in the Bronx homes. We'll talk about that and so much more. So please welcome to the show, Dr. Diana Hernandez. Doctor, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're always welcome to come and share some great information with us. We love that.
All right, I'll do my best.
Uh, Doctor, tell us a little more about what you're doing over at the school. And you grew up in the community here in the Bronx?
I did. I grew up mostly in the South Bronx,
Uh,
Melrose, Morrisania, and more recently in Mott Haven. And I've had strong roots in the Bronx, always feeling like the connection to my community has
mm-hmm.
been the real reason for focusing on issues at the intersection of health and equity and thinking about where people live in terms of their homes. So I've been at the School of Public Health since 2009.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, doing research for a long time on these issues.
Yeah, wow. And that research, since you've been there so long, it's an extensive research. And what have you come up with so far? What does it look like?
Yeah, so over the course of my career, I have literally poured my heart and soul
Mm-hmm.
into thinking about the homes that people occupy and what is behind closed doors. And a lot of what I have come to
Mm-hmm.
understand is really about energy and how energy influences so many aspects of our lives. And more, as time has gone on, people are feeling the impact of bills
Oh,
more
yeah.
and more. So it used to be that you had kind of a cheap utility bill and it wasn't necessarily a consideration. But as those utility bills have gone up and it's harder to heat and cool people's homes, they
Yeah.
have difficulty paying their utilities and they're falling behind and also risking being disconnected.
So there's an energy insecurity. Um, and this is what sparked your interest. You said, you know what, I need to find out more about how to get a grip on this problem, not only here in the Bronx, but it starts here in the Bronx, but you want to do it like nationwide eventually, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting because my growing up kind of influenced so much of like how I learned about the issues initially.
Mm-hmm.
But actually it was in Boston. I know for the Yankees Boston like tension, that might not be a good thing. But I was sitting in people's homes in the Dorchester section
Uh-huh.
of Boston and realizing, wow, like folks are talking about freezing in their homes, being too hot, not being able to afford an air conditioner,
Yeah.
having plugs in different places because their outlets were not working. And there wasn't language for that in the books that I was reading and in the articles that I was reading. And I felt like there had to be a way for me to basically document a lot
Yeah.
of what people, what their lived experience was, what they were feeling, and how it was affecting their health and their children's health. And so basically, I started to name the issue of energy insecurity, and then also follow in terms of thinking about the human impact. Like,
Yeah.
how does that impact day to day people being able to sleep, having to wear coats in their home, turning on their ovens for heat, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So the danger of it all also, you know, plugging things
Because
into different sockets, maybe overloading some of those sockets. You hear about fires and people catching colds a lot easier than normal because of that situation, that very situation,
yeah,
energy
when you
insecurity.
Yeah, energy insecurity was at the heart of the Bronx Fire. That was in Twin Parks in 2022. It was basically a space heater
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
on forever. And we know that Bronx residents, for instance, report the highest levels of no heat complaints. We just did a number of
Hmm.
studies, some with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene here in New York City, and then also a Robin Hood report where we're finding that almost 20% of New York City residents are experiencing difficulty paying their utility bills. And 1 in 10, so 10%, are actually experiencing a shutoff. So this is not so uncommon Also, when you start to look at that over the course of years, this looks like, people not just falling behind and being in the dark essentially. And there's a clean energy transition happening, right? There's solar, there's electric
Yeah.
stoves, induction stoves, and as all of that is unfolding, we want to make sure that Bronx residents, households with children, renters are all able to actually participate and benefit from the clean energy transition as it's unfolding.
Yeah. So how can we help? I mean, with your research and everything, where does it go to? Does it go to some of the elected officials so that we can do some things about it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to also kind of say that help exists. There is something through the utility companies called the Energy Affordability Program.
Ah, yeah.
If you are on the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, SNAP, other like income qualified programs, you're automatically enrolled into the Energy Affordability Program, and that gives you a discount on your bills. And that's really important to know that you're not alone and that there's help if you're on Medicaid or Medicare. Also, you have to apply separately, but there is kind of an automatic enrollment there. We also, there are disconnection protections if you're over the age of 62, if you're legally blind, otherwise disabled. So you could call the utility company. There's a lot of energy efficiency programs right now. So we
Yeah.
want to make sure that, especially tenants and buildings, know this so that they can work with their landlords in trying to motivate those changes.
Yeah. 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 Plug into the hallway. But, but no, there has to be a number they can call. I mean, if they call 311, they'll tell them, let them know that if you're over 62, you can qualify for this. If you have SNAP or, there's something called the Energy Affordability Program with a lot of the power company, Con Ed.
Yeah, so you could just call Con Edison and they'll enroll you into those programs. And they really are intended, they know to how to support people when they are experiencing these difficulties. They're getting a lot of these calls more recently, so they're prepared. They can't do everything, but they can definitely try and link you to existing programs. And then at Columbia, our job as an educational institution is actually not only to support the kind of
Um,
research endeavor, and that policymakers understand the research, but also that the public does.
yes.
So we're having an event at the
Ah,
forum at Columbia University on September 27th. So that's during New York Climate Week. And it's called Power Uptown, Tackling Energy Insecurity Together. And unlike most of the programs that happen during Climate Week, which are really about policymakers and experts, this is for the community. We're having an expo where you can actually connect with vendors that are doing things like induction stove demonstrations and also learning about solar. You can bring your bills so that
ah.
you can enter a raffle for
To,
us to be able to pay your bill, of course, with an asterisk around how much of
yes,
that can happen. But we really want
that's
to
great.
involve and engage uptown communities, the Bronx and Northern Manhattan in particular, because we want people to understand, first of all, the issues, and secondly that there's hope in this. We are really shifting how energy works. We want people to be participating in governance
Hmm.
and the regulatory process, but they have to know about it in order to be involved. And we're taking that step September 27th, which also happens to be my birthday,
Ah, happy
from
birthday to
3:30 to
you
7.
and many more. I'm the first to say happy birthday to you live on TV. There you go.
Thank you.
Listen,
I can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than with the
yeah,
community and doing what to me is like my life's work, which is to just talk about energy and make sure that it's equitable now and as we move
yeah.
forward.
Let's see if you can give your number to my producer so I can also put this on radio and let people know that there are things that they can do to get those things taken care of, whether they have SNAP or energy affordable. We talk about the energy affordable programs through Con Ed and things of that nature. Let them know and that you're going to have a raffle that can pay that utility bill and things of that nature, so they can, they can feel a little more comfortable in life.
Yeah, there's something when I think about like what energy represents, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
really about the basics. It's having food refrigerated and, a meal that you can prepare
Hmm.
because of energy. Not being too hot or too cold in your home. Just basically being healthy and dignified because that's what energy uh represents for most of us, is that it just allows us to do the basics in life. And when people are not able to meet those basic energy needs, then they suffer. And that to me is also unneedlessly suffering. And so,
Yeah.
whatever we can do to help, we're documenting some of this also on social media,
That's good.
hot and cold underscore NYC. And if you want to know a little bit more about me, I'm at drdianahernandez.com.
And you are energy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
all
you
you
so
do.
much.
All right. Make sure I get your number so we can keep in touch. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Diana Hernandez from Columbia University, thank you so much for all that you do.
Appreciate
All
being
right.
here. Thank you so much for the time.
You got it. All right. We'll take a break. I've got some more open coming your way next.